Okay, we're live. Hey guys, Sly here, and well, it's been over a month since I've done any streams. Last time I was live was with Saimori on the Portal 2 stream back in October. That was over a month and a half ago. And, well, I've been pretty much inactive throughout the entirety of November. And even, well, the first third of December. I thought it would be a good idea for me to do a update stream, just kind of letting everyone know what's going on, because I've been completely in the dark as far as social media outside of my Discord. I've not posted anything public on Instagram or Twitter X or Blue Sky or DeviantArt, not even YouTube. So I thought it would be a good idea to just update everyone on exactly what's been going on with my life for the past month and a half. And it basically just boils down to one phrase. 2025 was the absolute worst fucking year of all time. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm gonna be honest. I was looking forward to this year because 2025, to be frank, was an exciting year for me. Because, last year, I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't particularly the greatest year for me. Because, yes, we did do the Caspian Game Awards. That was an awesome show that I was very passionate about. I got a new computer for me to be able to stream more graphically intense games, as well as be able to stream at a higher quality finally, consistently. That was awesome. But after the drama that happened with my Discord server last year, and the fact that I got COVID, and just the fact that I was feeling way more isolated as a whole compared to 2023 and even the couple years prior, it was just a mess. So suffice to say, I really wanted 2025 to be a year for it was a year of optimism for me. Because I'll be honest, like I said, last year was just terrible. 2024 was not a good year. And so for me to say that 2025, and I do apologize if you hear any of the background. I'm going to mute for a second. Okay, there we go. Sorry. But yeah, so for me to say that I was looking forward to this year is an understatement. But it's also an understatement to say that this ended up being one of the worst years of my entire life. And that's saying a lot because 2016 was bad for me. 2019 was really bad for me. 2021 was the worst year of my entire life. Those were just times of my life I do not want to relive. So for me to say that 2025 is yet another year that has been the absolute roughest for me, yeah. But so let's, I guess, just kind of start at the beginning, because here's the thing. For legal reasons, there are some things that I'm going to have to admit talking about on this stream. Yes, it got that bad. But there are some things that I will have to leave out for both legal reasons, to make sure that I'm to cover myself from any sort of liability, and just because I don't want to necessarily put anything out there that is going to cause a lot of drama anyways. So as far as just everything that's going on, I'm basically just going to like vent out a bunch of my frustrations that happened this year. So because I think just having this out there will just at least give myself a bit of peace of mind. So let's start from the beginning. So because all I'm because that okay. So obviously January didn't necessarily start off on the greatest of news because, well, I remember I did a stream at the very beginning of the year, expressing my concerns about a certain orange man, which I still stand by those concerns. And honestly, after everything that's happened this year, I'm convinced even more that like things are going to get worse in a lot of other ways. So, because yeah, it was my first stream at the beginning of the year. So yeah, Project 2025. Obviously, I'm not gonna go over that again. Go watch the stream that I did like back in January. I can't be silent about this anymore. Basically, just me going over Project 2025. Unfortunately, most of that ended up coming through, and even worse, the whole like it in a lot of ways even worse than that. Which that already right there was a bad like just mood killer for the beginning of the year. And by the way, anyone who's in here who's like, oh, I don't want to talk about politics, get the fuck out. If you are someone who doesn't like leftists or socialists or anything, get the fuck out. Because like we don't fucking I'm not gonna fucking hear from you guys anymore. But anyways, so yeah, like I was already dealing with just sort of like a lot of just the shit that's been going on in the real world, and that was already just kind of in the back of my mind, especially as someone who is friends with people who are directly affected by a lot of what's going on. My friend Goldie was like his family was dealing with all of the issues that Project 2025 was dealing with. My friend Saimori also has not only them, but they've also been dealing with like a lot of their friends have been terrified of what's going to happen. And even some of my more personal friends, which aren't regulars on the channel, you know, like Arcane, also Phantom, or my friend Nate, they've been concerned about everything that's been going on. So that should, and keep in mind, Arcane, he's from the UK. He's not from the US. And if he's concerned, yeah. So obviously the political side, we were going like obviously that was already going to suck ass. We already established that. So there was that. And then in February, there was the announcement on Twitch where they were updating how VODs work to where you can only have up to 100 hours. You can only have up to 100 hours of like saved like stream time per account. And that was a logistical nightmare for me because, as you guys know, I saved all of my VODs from 2020 up until this year exclusively on Twitch. And that was over, what, 1,200 hours that I saved? And so from, like, the middle of February all the way to the end of March, I was rushing and just trying to scram as much, like, of those VODs onto my old YouTube channel as quickly as I can. I'm very lucky that I was able to do that in that short amount of time. Because I value my saved VODs and streams so much, as like just for personal documentation's sake, and just for being able to relive memories. And so that was just a logistical nightmare trying to like figure that out. Thank God I got a new computer for that, because if I had my old computer, I wouldn't have been able to save any of those streams. And that would have been, all of my streams would have been lost media. So yeah, thank fuck I got everything saved. So, I mean, they're not available, like, yeah, most of them are not public. The only ones that are public are the tier lists and the Caspian Game Awards. But rest assured, every single one of my playthroughs that I have done, that I have for sure like saved, they've thankfully been saved. Unfortunately, obviously the Wizard 101 streams, those were deleted a long time ago. Those aren't coming back. But every other stream is saved. So, but just the fact that like that took me an entire month, and I was still in class too for most of that period. So, and I barely streamed around that time. And that was around the time whenever I was even debating on whether or not I wanted to continue doing stuff for like YouTube and Twitch. Or Twitch specifically. So, yeah, that strike two. And so, yeah, like, and I don't know, it's just, I can go on and on about like some of the other just sort of low key just annoying things that kind of happened that aren't necessarily big deals. But I don't want to necessarily talk about those because I'm just going to just talk about the real reason why this year has ended up being one of the worst years of my entire life. So again, for legal reasons, I can't go into like the specifics of everything, but let's just say that I feel like I've been stabbed in the back this year. Not just by one person, but multiple people throughout my life. So one of which includes someone that was a regular on the stream, but you probably have noticed they've been completely absent throughout this entire year. So I think it's best to just kind of cover each scenario, because there's been three things that have just kind of made this year just absolutely just the worst, one of the worst years of my life. So you probably, like, so for everyone who is a regular on the stream, you probably have noticed that one of the people who was a regular for a long time, ever since 2018, so from 2018 all the way up until 2024, they were regular on the Sly Army podcasts, the Sly Army tier lists, even some of the gameplay streams that I did recently, as in last year, not this year, but last year. But it's, people are gonna figure out who it is anyways. Big Joseph, Izzy, or Kai. They were someone who thought I was who I considered to be like one of my closest friends. They were someone that I actually knew in the same, like, we went to the same school as each other. We collaborated with each other on the Teenage Robots music. And they were a regular guest on many of the streams that we've done, like, over the past, like, 9 years. They were someone that I thought I was able to trust. But at the beginning of the year, I decided that me, Goldie, Saimori, and ex Sly Army Cooper gang member. They go by Signing Eater, but Shino Noir, if you guys remember them from a few years ago, we collectively decided that it was a good idea for us to part ways with Izzy. I can't go into the details as to why, for legal reasons, but all I'm going to say is that hurt me. And that was at the beginning, and that was actually around January whenever we decided to do that. Which is why, for that 3-week period, I did not stream. It's because I was just dealing with the emotional oops, sorry, someone's DMing me. Sorry. But yeah, like I was dealing with just the emotional breakdown of that. Because suffice to say, I thought they were someone that like I would have trusted. But after everything that like I found out about, and that Sai and Goldie found out about, and that Shino found out about, we all collectively agreed to just distance ourselves from them and just try to move on. So that was something that was already just kind of an emotional weight on me. As you guys probably have noticed, I did keep all of the tier lists that they were featured on, mostly out of documentation sake. I do not necessarily like want to be associated or affiliated with them anymore, but just for the sake of keeping everything like documented, we do still have every single VOD on there. So, but suffice to say, that was just a big blow for me personally. And part of me still hasn't fully recovered from that. Unfortunately, though, that was not the only thing that has like affected me personally throughout this year. Because unfortunately, there was something that was even worse than that, and the situation between me and Big Joseph was already really bad. So from February all the way up until September, I wanted to start reaching out to people who are more local in my area, because of the falling out between me and Izzy. I wanted to potentially try to move on from that, because I mean, I'm just going to be honest, my closest friends, Goldie and Sai, they don't live in the same area that I'm in. They're like completely on opposite ends of the country as me. And so, and because Goldie's been getting busy with his university and work stuff, and Sai with his work stuff as well, I wanted to start up a new friend group, and so that like I can have people that I can hang out a lot more frequently and more locally. And so at my university, I did start going to a bunch of extracurricular events, and I started participating in some of the stuff that's in my college. Because, well, I wasn't able to do that for the first 3 years because of the fact that the pandemic was going on. And in the last couple of years, 2023 and 2024, I was living away from university. So I'm nearby university right now. So, but I was just stuck. And so that's whenever I just decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna like go to some of these clubs and just kind of like meet these people. And at first, I was pretty nervous because, again, I was already dealing with this fallout with this other person. And, this is the first time I was interacting with people at the university I transferred to. And, but at first, it was actually kind of cool. We eventually, I did hang out with these people. Um, I went to not just school related events with them, as well as like the different meetings that we had on campus, but also a bunch of more local convention stuff, even going out to like major like conventions. So it was something that I felt like I was finally making new friends, because this is the first time I would made friends with a new friend group in nearly 3 years. Not since the canceled voice acting project that I met Goalie in a few years ago. And things were going pretty well. And again, for legal reasons, I'm not going to name anyone in particular, but I was getting pretty close with a few of them in particular. But after hanging out with them and going out of my way, like pretty much like going out of my way to like hang out with them, they slowly just kind of drifted away from me. And it got to the point where there was a lot of infighting. There was a lot of like just internal drama. And that took a huge toll on me for the past couple months. Like, again, I'm not gonna like specify anything in particular, but I was just mentally distraught from the beginning of September all the way up until like just a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, like it was something that I was just completely just hurt by, because I was already backstabbed by someone at the beginning of the year, and so for someone to do the same thing at the literally like going into the second semester, it stung. So yeah, like it was something that just honestly it broke my heart in a lot of ways. So, and again, I tried to be as like nice and like you know as positive as I could, but just the fact that that happened to me, it just put so much anguish on me. Like I was genuinely like depressed. And like this is the part that I am willing to disclose, because it's like I'd rather be transparent about like everything that's going on. It got to the point where like I was starting to feel a lot of just intrusive thoughts. This is something that like I've been vocal about on the stream before. I've always had issues with like depression and anxiety. It's just something that like I've been trying to like get myself better at. And I thought that that was starting to go away, because again, like hanging out with these people, it was the first time I felt like I was like alive for like the first time in a couple years. Um and so for them to just be so two-faced about me, it hurt, you know? So yeah, like so already dealing with just a lot of just this, like it just got to me. And I'm willing to even just disclose this right now. I was in the hospital. Like literally like a few days after me and Sai did our Portal 2 stream, like these episodes got so bad that I actually went to like a hospital. And I was in there during like Halloween, and I got released on November 2nd. That was March. So that was the day I got released. So yeah, like I'm just gonna be straight up transparent with you guys. Yes, I was able to do the final few episodes of the tier list, and I was able to do a couple of streams with Shino, with Psy. But keep in mind, during that time, I was dealing with a lot of just mental struggles. And it was just painful. So, but since I got released, I've been on medication, and I have been seeing a counselor about all this because, like, it's just been a struggle. So, and yes, I know there might be some people who are like, oh, like that's just what emos do in general. No, this is something that I've been dealing with for a long time. This is even before whenever I called myself Sly the Emo Emperor. Because remember, I called myself Sly the Warrior at first. I changed my name to the Emo Emperor only 3 years ago. Because that's just the type of like culture I'm into. So, because I know there's going to be some people who might just be disingenuous, people who are just going to try to like spin this. But all this to say is that, like, that just hurt, seeing these people just basically pretend to be your friend and just be both two-faced and just abuse you in a narcissistic way. The fact that I've had this happen, like I had this happen twice this year. The first time with someone who I knew in person and that I had done collaborations in person with. And we went to concerts with each other, and that I gave them gifts. And then for me to have to deal with another group who were just being two-faced with me. It's like, what the fuck? And trust me, like, not only like Goldie and Sai, like even like my cousins and shit, they will like also stand, like they will like testify and say that I'm not the type of person who goes out of their way to like cause drama or like do any conflict or anything. That's like the last thing I want to do. So yeah, sorry, I'm just shaking right now because it's been a lot. But unfortunately, yes, as much as I have been trying to just recover from a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, the drama between me and these people, that has not gone away. As a matter of fact, it started escalating last weekend. So ultimately, that's why I've been gone for like the past month and a half. It's because I've been dealing with a lot of just personal just drama recently that admittedly gave me a lot of trauma. So I hope everyone is at least understanding of that. I will be honest though, there is one other like thing that has been on my mind recently. And it's something that I might as well disclose now. So if you guys remember, my cat Anakin. Yup, he's been my pal ever since 2010. I've known him ever since I was like still a kid. And he's been on so many of our streams. Like he's been the little boy who's been like, he's my baby boy who's like kind of helped me keep myself together. So like I love him. He's been there for me for much of just me growing up. Well, a few days ago he did have a stroke, and he is currently in the hospital. At first I thought that meant that it was going to be the end for him, but thankfully we did talk with a veterinarian as well as the cat doctor, and they are currently saying that, or at least as of earlier today, they did say that he is doing better. So that's at least good. Like, he is able to walk again, because like he just wasn't able to walk and he wasn't like eating regularly. But they did confirm that he is doing better. But I guess I just laid this out to let you guys know that he is an old cat. He is 15, almost 16 years old. He's getting up there in age. And he means a lot to me. So if something were to have happened to him, I would have immediately let everyone know. And I would have told everyone I would have been taking like a 2-3 week break. So, which that day will inevitably come. But as of right now, he is doing fine. But that did just kind of, that shook me a little bit, because he's my baby boy. So, and especially with what happened with my dog Amos a few years ago, I want to make sure I'm actually with Anakin this time. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna be straight up. This has been just the fakest year of my life. I've been through a lot over the past, like, several decades I've been alive. So it's been, it's just been just a sort of weird and messed up journey I've been through. Obviously, I'm willing to admit whenever I'm at fault with something, and I will even admit this. I used to be a terrible kid, like elementary and like early middle school. I was. I end up like, frankly, like that's kind of why like I don't really ever talk about my life before like 7th grade, because I was an awful, awful kid. And I'll even admit, even from middle school up until now, there are some things that I have done over the years that I vehemently regret either like thinking or saying or anything like that. But I'm someone who's willing to be like own up to their mistakes and like apologize and try to make up for them. But at the same time, there are instances where I do have to realize when something is not inherently something that is my fault. And this is something that I've talked with hundreds of times with both Saimori and with Goldie over like the past, just honestly, the past 3 months. Specifically involving what happened between me and Izzy and what happened with like the people from this club. So and this is the lesson that I hope to share to everyone. Hold on. I'm sorry. This is what happens when you live on a major road. Anyways, so this is the lesson that I want to make sure I share with everyone. Don't automatically trust everyone that you know, even your closest friends, because you don't necessarily know what motives or who they actually are until like you know them on a deeper level. And sometimes even then you don't know everything. I'll be real with you guys. I have had massive trust issues developed over the past 3 months because of just everything that's happened this year. And that's kind of why I've just been distant on both Twitch and YouTube, and even just all of my social media. I wanted to just give myself a bit of a break. But I think right now I am somewhat stable from everything. Unfortunately, like I said, the drama is not completely over. There are a bunch of legal stuff I have to go through now because of everything. I may disclose that at a later date, but as of right now, I'm not gonna like say anything more about it. If anyone wants to ask about it, obviously I'm willing to talk about it in DMs, but even then, I'm only gonna just be talking about it with the people that I know I can trust. I'm not just gonna like tell random people. So, but yeah, I think that's just ultimately the unfortunate message that I just had to learn this year is be careful who you make your friends, like be careful who you make friends with is ultimately the lesson that I've learned. That said though, I do want to give a few shout outs to some of the people who have stuck with me the entire time. Obviously, Saimori and Goldie, they've been the people who have had my back the most over these just struggles that I've been dealing with. Also Arcane and Shino and our friend Nate, they've been with me as far as just being able to just help me go through all of this stuff. They are the people that I know that I can trust as well. Also, I rarely ever talk about my family for many different reasons that I'm not going to get into right now. But ever since everything that happened at the hospital, they've been the most supportive that they have been this year. I am very thankful that because of everything that has been going on, this is like the first time that like they've collectively came and tried to help me during my crisis. So, because it's been rough. So I'm trying not to cry because it's been a rough one. So I also do want to give another special shout out to a friend of the channel, Moonstar Dusk. They've been someone who I've been in contact with once a month, and they've been super just supportive of just everything that's been going on as well. They don't know everything, but they've been able to reach out whenever like things have gotten pretty bad. So I do want to give them a shout out. Yes, that does mean I am somewhat tied to a lot of like big FNAF YouTubers. I just don't feel comfortable. I just don't want to feel like I'm stealing their spotlight. So, but although to be fair, Moonstar moved away from that, they're doing more Sonic related stuff. But they went out of the way to make sure to like for us to like talk. So that I do appreciate. So, and I will even admit this as well. Yes, this year has been just one of the toughest years that I've had in my life. But if there is one silver lining with this year, is that I am very thankful that this year was the year I was able to meet the voice actors of literally some of my favorite characters of all time. Throughout this entire year, if you guys have been paying attention to Twitch channel called The Kevin Miller. Yes, the voice actor of my boy Sly Cooper. I have joined every other stream on there for like during like their gameplay let's plays of the Sly Cooper games, and we've been able to talk about a lot of interesting things. Granted, I will admit I'm not the most vocal person on those streams. I try to let everyone else talk. Plus, there's like a ton of people who join like the voice call pop-ins anyways, but just being able to talk with him always makes my day. So, and obviously, in the last tier list that we did, I did also reveal that I did also meet Marta Zvedek and Janice Kawaii, the voice actors for both Roxanne Wolf and Jenny Wigman, respectively, which are two characters that are pretty close to the channel history and just my personal history. And so being able to meet them in person and being able to just kind of, talk about not just like, their characters here, but even just other stuff, those also made my days. Like, I will always keep me going, like, my trip back down to my hometown of Anaheim and meeting Janice down there for NostalgiaCon, as well as being able to meet Marta in Salt Lake City for my birthday. Those made my year. So, and of course, like I said, being able to meet the voice actor of literally the character who made me who I am. So those I will always, cherish. And of course, all the memories that I have just doing the tier list stuff with Sai and Goldie. So, but I just wanted to give just the just the general appreciation, like, for those who not only like the people that I've idolized, who I've met, who are genuinely nice people. Like, I'm very thankful that I haven't had like a don't meet your heroes like moment with them, because these are, if I'm gonna have like people who I look up to, I'd rather it be Kevin Miller, Marta Zvedek, Janice, because they're genuinely good people. So, and I'm just thankful for the people who are more closer to my life to have supported me throughout the times, like the amount of times I've known them, because I don't necessarily know if I would still be here if nobody was here to support me. So, but we do only have 20 days left of 2025. So currently this week is finals week. I'm just halfway through. I only have one more final I gotta do. I did turn in everything. Tomorrow is the Game Awards. I am going to be live for that, and hopefully I will be going back to doing more Twitch streams for you guys, Twitch and YouTube streams for you guys. I'm gonna hold off on the YouTube shorts for a while. I might ask someone to help me with those, but yeah, I'm gonna try to make sure this year gets turned around. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be completely turned around because of just personal drama I've been dealing with, as well as just the health of like my cat. So, but I'll just be honest, this year has just been the toughest year of, like, one of the toughest years of my life, if not the toughest. And like I said, that's saying a lot, because I thought 2021 was the toughest year of my life. Turns out that was not the case. And who knows if there's going to be years that are going to be even worse. But all I can do is just be thankful for those who have stuck around with me. So, but anyways, speaking of, I'm going to raid Saimori. For anyone who is watching this, feel free to join that. I just wanted to do a stream just updating everyone on exactly what's been going on. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has stuck around despite everything that's been going on. Let it be known, I will make sure 2026 is an objectively better year than this year. That is not even just a goal, that's going to be a fact. And I will showcase that. But either way, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. We'll be we'll be watching the Game Awards tomorrow, and we will be doing a 2025 Caspian Game Awards I might do a Redux stream between now and then, like between now and whenever I do the 2025 Caspian Game Awards. It just really depends. That's going to take a lot of research though, but I'll try. I'll see what I can do. I might end up doing it after 2020, the 2025 Caspian Game Awards, but who knows. But either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you just for supporting me, and I'll see you guys.